Are we about to lose this guy? He's literally giving us his entire fucking backstory. This is like 3 days away from retirement, or when we get back, I'm gonna get married talk. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're back to another episode of Space Battleship Yamato. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but I'm hoping by the next time we're recording, I'll have a new overlay. As I've indicated before, this is the overlay I made myself, which is pretty good by my standards, which is to say I'm not good at this at all. I got the Yamato down there, I got the logo, I got Okita. All it really lacks is the channel logo, which might be there in the YouTube side of things, I don't know. But I asked an AI, hey, AI, without any spoilers, here's a list of all the other characters I've ever been drawn as and the shows that they're from. What character from this show am I most like? Or is in my best tastes, right? What character from this show matches up with all of my previous tastes? And it gave me a bit of a surprising result, and I'm not going to spoil it here. So I was almost like hesitant. I was like, should I be drawn as this character? This is, So I'm going to leave that to you to guess if you want to guess what might be coming down the way. Hopefully by next episode, might not be. Whenever it comes, it'll be up here. I'll be recording with it immediately. And hopefully it'll be the overlay that I will then use for all the rest of Yamato. But that said, I come with the notes. I do not have a board for this episode. The last two episodes. Specifically because nothing really changes interpersonally. I will say I was in a rush to get all my notes and my boards done this week. So there is something I did want to add to the board, but I didn't because I ran out of time. Well, I ran out of time and then I forgot to do this one specific thing, which is to say I was going to add the Queen of Bimeria to the board and tie her to Hisu, because apparently, that's who she was talking to on the communications. But I forgot to do that. Because the added complication about Space Battleship Yamato 1974 is that typically I would go to a Behind the Voice Actor website and then get the images for the characters that I need. But for some reason, 1974's Space Battleship Yamato does not have a Behind the Voice Actor listing. I assume maybe they just don't remember who voiced certain characters. Don't know. But that said, I kind of have to just do some research, right? Like, who was in this episode? Did they mention this character's name? And then when they appear, I have to screenshot them, cut the image to a specific size, put them on the board, yada, yada, yada. Well, hasn't been that in a while. No new character's been introduced that isn't already on the board, and the Queen of Bimeria would be the new one, possibly old guy who was leading the revolt. Don't know. But I meant to add her. I have a whole thing on the side waiting to get that done. Just kind of forgot because I ran out of time. So, that said, the link down below will still be to the previous board, but as I'm saying right now, there's no changes made. But I do have a number of notes, because again, watched 2 episodes, so notes on episode 16 and 17. The map that they showed at the start of episode 16 seemed to indicate different quadrants of space that the Gamulus Empire controlled, and since the map was oriented for the Yamato's journey, it obviously showed more of the space Gamulus controlled between its home and the Milky Way. What I find to be interesting is that it also depicts at least 4 other routes away from the large Magellanic Cloud that just head off into deep space is what I meant to say. I've written deed space. I was in a rush. It was late. I am super tired right now. I wish I could just sleep, but I want to get this done. Implying that the Milky Way is just one of the regions of space that they are moving in. I really appreciate that touch, as it was completely unnecessary, but adds so much by doing so little. The problem with Analyzer is that they equally try to humanize him by pressing on the element that he's a living creature and not a machine, then shove his sexual harassment in your face. It isn't that those two things stand in opposition to one another, but proving that he's alive doesn't abate that he's a jerk. Worse, all I can think of now is that one magazine article where Analyzer is the one responding to questions, and he's the one that mentions that all the women went to cryosleep except for Maury, and that if the women hadn't, then they'd be in danger to all of the men on the ship. That feels like jokey 70s boys will be boys commentary, but just thinking about it for all of 2 seconds is a really shitty thing to say about who you want us to cheer for. That's something you would imply about the villains of the show and what they might do if you were trying to dehumanize them. Communications between the ship and the expedition only occurs once they go underground, implying that they still could have called the ship after they crashed. They never show us them doing so, implying that the ship doesn't know that they crashed, nor that they've gone underground. These two are just the worst pairing to send down to the planet. So, if Analyzer is correct, then the bug people's royal essence that Hisu mentions when he's talking to their queen is just a stimulant for the Gamulus people. Gamulus is keeping their queen in control to make her grind up her own people for essentially an aphrodisiac for their people. I mean, beyond the radiation bombardment, if you wanted to show that the Gamulus Empire was evil, that's a pretty good way to go about it. Hard to understand what happened to the Gamulus tanker. Yamato spotted it, sent out the fighter squadrons, then the tanker landed calmly and the pilots walked out normally until they collapsed and the tanker exploded. If it had been boarded or something, I could expect that some sort of reaction, with the Yamato crew pouring out behind them like they had boarded it and sabotaged it. But that's nothing like what happened. It's very confusing conceptually. Evidently, Analyzer notes that there is a greenhouse on the Yamato back in episode 9. The editor's notes seem to question why they would still land on Bumeria for for fresh vegetables in that case. I mean, clearly to extend the lifespan of the food they have so that they can make it last longer. The editors also say this was January 13th, where my count says it's the 14th, so now back to only being a day apart, I guess. Ballin is a planet twice the size of Earth, but with less gravity. Plus, it's heavily volcanic. I mean, I'm not even sure what that implies. Clearly, it has a lack of heavy metals and is probably hollow in places. Essentially, it's porous. Not a place you'd want to dig into. Also, the insane claim that it's very comfortable for humanoids, lest we forget the limited number of light sources and the one type of plant. But I guess the narrator is the voice of God, so who am I to argue? Well, I guessed that the ship passing the Yamato sometime back was likely to be building a base in the solar system, and episode 17 proved me right. I was thinking more along the lines of a Gamulus base on Earth, but apparently they are rebuilding the Pluto base before moving on to Earth colonization. I didn't really comment on Domel tearing up Gale's room before, because it looked bad on Domel to just lash out like that. But Gale's room is gaudy and full of suggestive paintings, so when we see him drunk and throwing a fit last episode, and he's got two women mostly naked and throwing wine at them, it makes Domel's reaction to the life Gale must be living out here that much more understandable. I guess the real surprise of last episode is that there is no clear chain of command going on the bridge of the Yamato. People just follow the strongest personality and just kinda all choose what needs to be done. But by the way, I'm talking about after Okita is hospitalized, right? That there's no second in command. Sorry, I'm preempting my own note. I think I've mentioned this before, but I really would have thought there would be a second in command. I guess that would have divided the captain's role on the ship into two characters, and they didn't want to do that. It would seem surprising if so, considering how many characters the ship already has, some doing similar roles to one another. I can only see this becoming a problem down the road unless they find a way to, I don't know, unless they find a way to make it work in a way that befits the show, but not other sci-fi things. Also, the fact we have two characters on the bridge who consistently fight one another all the time, and I can't see that getting better in a high stress situation. Well, anyways, that is all of my notes. The only other thing I have is my two calendar updates. January 14th, landed and escaped planet Bamiria in search of edible plants, 267 days to go. And now January 18th, Yamato encounters and destroys the Baronodon, 263 days to go. So, that said, nothing left to do but to hop on in and see what this episode brings us.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Floating Fortress Island, Suicidal Assault, Team of 2. Huh. When you phrase it that way, it almost kind of sounds like a combination of two episodes we've already seen. Which is to say, Floating Island was it Jupiter? I want to say it was the Jupiter one where we tested the wave motion cannon. And Suicidal Two-Man Assault sounds like Pluto, when the team infiltrated the Pluto base to destroy the cannon. Well, I guess they sort of infiltrated the Pluto base. They infiltrated the cannon area of the base. What was it? 4 people survived that out of 6 people who got sent? I remember 2 people died. I want to say that there was one of our fighter pilot guys was there. Kita was there. Shina? I'm forgetting the science guy's name. He was there too. So that's definitely 3. So maybe 3 out of 5 survived. So essentially we're just reducing that number down. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be attacking though, because they were like a little over a week away from Ballin. And Ballin doesn't seem to have any floating islands. It has the one base that they built into it on the ground. I will say this is a pretty good method for eating up a bit of time in the show. It's the same segment, so you can use it every time. I mean, at this point, we're like 20 in. We gotta know what's already happening. But I guess the thought process here in 1974 is that people gotta know what's happening every episode, but they also have to be able to jump in on every episode, regardless of when it's being aired. And for anyone just jumping in, this updates you on 19 episodes or 18 episodes worth of content in a minute and a half. So far, Dommel has been, elevated, but hasn't really proved that he's worth what we're putting into him. He's a hero of a war front we've never seen. Oh, floating island. Just an object in space, not like the previous ones. I mean, it definitely looks like Gamalus tech, so... Wait, what? Well, what a fucking horrible way to go. Damn, well, I remember back when Gameless kept the Yamato from moving forward with like some sort of large invisible space field, so this isn't like the first thing we've encountered like this.
謎の物体から出ているんです。おお、ということはガミラスの宇宙要塞に間違いありません。
迂回して避けられないの？
それはダメなんだ。9時の方向へ10キロほど流してみたが、ついてきている。
Oh, it's moving too. I know Lessons would argue about this. Fortresses can't move.
次目のないシームレス戦闘機を作り上げました。艦長、ぜひ僕も行かせてください。俺だけじゃ不足だというのか。いや、違うんだよ、真田さん。
If it's seamless, how are you gonna get inside?
部下をなくしているんだ。あなたを二人目にはしたくない。
Yeah, the cockpit is a seam. I'm looking right at it. See, you've drawn a line. Those are seams. All of this are seams. Thank God you put two main characters in, because otherwise this thing would get destroyed. Do you want to look for a dead body while we're out here? Oh, chief engineer. Sorry, he was part of that crew I was talking about back on Pluto. God, I think Battlestar Galactica ends up using this music too.
まるで宇宙に浮かぶ巨大な軽石といった感じです。全島にわたって無数の穴が開いています。マグネトロンウェーブの発射効果と思われます。どうぞ。分かった。ヤマトにも若干だがマグネトロンウェーブの影響が出始めた。君たちも用心しろ。了解。答え。要塞が射程距離に入った。レーザーガンであの発射口を攻撃してみてくれ。
I mean, it said infiltration, so I guess they're gonna get bored somehow.
なんだい。蓋が閉まったぜ。思った通りだ。あの発射口は爆発のような衝撃にすぐ反応する自動シャッターで守る。
Vibrations in space.
要塞の守りは万全だということだ。つまり要塞を爆破するにはあの中へ潜り込む以外に手はないということになる。
Not for nothing, dude, but you're shaking, and you're shaking in a way that the last guy shook before he died.
しばらく通信を停止します。どうぞ。よし、二人とも十分注意して行動するように。以上。
Yeah, how did you not instantly die? The other guy died the moment the thing shattered around him. Again, also for being seamless, the thing opened up. Also surprising the inside of this thing looks like a cave. Because I guess they built the thing around an asteroid. Or a bunch of vines. Kind of concerning how quiet it is. Alright, so Gamilans are using a bunch of aliens from all over the place.
俺はお前に許してもらいたいことがある。なんだい、こんなところで。お前の兄貴のことだ。俺とお前の兄貴の古代守とは宇宙戦士訓練所の同期だった。
What a surprising point to have a backstory episode.
派手なお前の兄貴と地味な俺とが奇妙に馬があった。やがて訓練場を出ると、お前の兄貴は宇宙パイロットに、俺は地上勤務になって、
I'm waiting for the part you have to apologize for.
今から9ヶ月前に再開した宇宙駆逐艦雪風がドックインした時だ。古代守は雪風の艦長に、俺は第三ドックの技術長になっていた。船の損傷はひどいものだった。ガミラスの優勢な科学力の前には
And yet now rockets from the fighter craft can destroy entire game of the ships.
どうだ戦えるようになったかうんそうか3日後には出発する冥王星戦線だここで負けたら地球は後がない
Okay, I thought you were going to apologize for something that had to do with the ship, since you're an engineer, but that hasn't happened yet either.
それが古代守の最後だった冥王星での地球艦隊最後の決戦は激烈を極め生きて帰ったのは沖田艦長の機関ただ一隻だった古代守の行き風は沖田司令官を逃がすための盾となって敵に立ちふさがり壮烈な最後を取ったという
True.
だが俺は知っていたのだ行き風はそうするしかなかったあの船はもうダメだったんだ俺は行き風を生きて地球へ戻れるまでに整備できなかったお前の兄貴古代守をあの世へ送ったのは
We have no idea how that ship got to where it got to in the end anyway.
俺はお前の顔を見るたびに古代守のことを思い出して
You could probably make an entire OVA
あなたが悪いわけじゃありませんよそれに
about that ship floating through space and what the crew did in their final moments. Okay, not an alien race, robots.
悪い時に兄貴の話をしてしまったなでも戦闘班長のお前もボケーっと油断する時もあるんだな俺も安心したぜ
Well, clearly somebody else he's going to be boxing later.
家族で月の遊園地へ遊びに行った時のことだ俺はまだ小学生だった
Surprisingly, they decided to put a bubble on this when they have just everybody else walking out in space and barely covered helmets. I was just about to say, it's kind of funny to me that they're so unconfident in the safety standards of the ride that you have to wear a helmet while you're on the ride. This feels like a 70s sci-fi novel. Exploring a fortress, alien base hostile to you that you know nothing about. And taking all of your time to talk about something that has nothing to do with where you're at.
ヤマトがバラバラになる前にマグネトロンウェーブを止めてくれればいいんですがね。真田工場長と古代のやつ。
Well, you'd assume that the magnetron waves would have more of an effect on now the unarmored parts. You should start caving in on those parts.
通路ばっかりじゃないか。一体どこまで行けば終わるんだい？ここさ。え？この要塞は完全に無人で動く。いわば全体がロボットでありコンピューターなのだ。俺はこの発射通路を歩きながら、これがコンピューターの回路にそっくりであることに気がついたんだ。そして今答えが出た。我々が破壊すべき心臓部はここなんだ。
The background actually looked like a walnut, so I thought he was talking about that thing. Alright, to be fair, I can see this being a walnut too. Very Scooby-Doo, like, mid-credit roll sound effect. I was just about to say, I was just thinking, why are we hanging out here? Could warp away, wait for a communication from your two men, and then come back. Because you never know when this thing's going to affect your engine. I mean, technically, why didn't you just fire the wave motion cannon at the thing? Are we about to lose this guy? He's literally giving us his entire fucking backstory. This is like 3 days away from retirement, or when we get back, I'm gonna get married talk.
そう考え、それを実際に確かめるために俺は科学者になった。科学は俺にとって屈服さすべき敵なのだ。
There's a weird noise to hear coming from a walnut. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, is this like... Does it seem plant-like on the inside because it's a giant living creature? Because that's what I was thinking to begin with, but the inner walls of this seem to be metal too. Legitimately, it's not abandoning them. You can just warp back later. They're doing their thing. You can't help them. Your ship is getting torn apart. Get out of there. The only reason I can think of not to is that their oxygen might be like too low. The amount of time it takes to recharge the engine to come back.
緊急事態が迫っているんだ。ヤマトがワープするのかもしれん。何？要塞塔の全機能はそっちへ向いているんだ。チャンスだぞ、古代。さあ、上がってこい。俺の手足を切ってくれ。時間がないんだ。早くしろ。コンピューターのやつ、俺の手足を加え込んで勝ったつもりだろうが、俺はトカゲだ。尻尾を切り、足を切り、どこまでも生き延びて最後には敵を倒す。さあ、早く切れ。
Yeah, but the lizard can regrow its tail.
ビスを外せばいいんだ。ビス？俺の手足は作り物なんだよ。肘のビスを外せ。
Oh.
俺の言う通りにやれば解体できる。
Well, that's different.
I mean...
Oh, okay. That explains the roller coaster scene then. I was wondering why the hell he didn't, like, seem to have, like, any regret or anything about what seemed to be a fatal crash. He's kind of like, right past that. Well, this guy became, like, one of the most fucking interesting characters I could think of. There we go. Be less surprising if you weren't giving me all that talk about your past. Explosives? What a horrible thing not to tell anybody that you're always with.
コンピューターの息の根は止まり、宇宙要塞もガラクタに変わる。だが、俺がこれ以上遠く離れては爆発は起こらん。真田さん、あんたって人は早合点するな、古代。俺だって別に死に急ぐわけじゃない。このマグネトロンウェーブ発射口は強い衝撃を受けた場合、自動的に閉じるシャッターで守られている。ひょっとしたら、そのシャッターは内部で爆発した場合にも反応するかもしれん。それが頼みの綱だ。
Yeah, but it shutters the outside. The explosion's coming from the inside. You're on the border of the outside. You can do roll out?
その気があったら探しに来てくれ。君が見つけられるのは俺の骨だけかもしれないがな。真田さん、俺にはもう何も言えない。
Look, I know I hate plot armor and characters and whatnot, but I'm really hoping he survives because this is like such a fucking cool reveal and character thing.
それじゃ真田さん
Okay, he's on the outside. Never mind. Makes sense.
さよならは言わないよ俺もだ
I mean, not a lot of hope again because you're piling away, which seems to indicate you think the explosion's gonna be pretty damn big.
島ワープだはいワープしますチームレスキューよりヤマトへチームレスキューよりヤマトへこちら古代古代よりヤマトへ古代よりヤマトへ
Yeah, again, thank God you're so slow at doing your fucking job. Otherwise, he would have warped away and Koda would have been left behind.
古代古代かこちらヤマト起きたらどうしたんだ古代爆薬の設置成功ただいまから要塞を爆破します
What a weird structure to just leave in the middle of space, by the way. Obvious questions are, what the hell is he gripping onto? Because his hands are gone.
真田さんこちら古代爆破成功これより真田工場長の救助に向かいます以上
Yeah, thank God your arms and legs never went off by accident while you were on the Yamato. You would have fucking killed everybody.
真田さん真田さん真田さん真田さん来ない真田さん
God, there's so much you can do with the show. With the future remakes, I'm just anticipating now. Meanwhile, the Legion of Doom. Well, Gamela's regional headquarters. That's what he was gonna say. Again, Donald is a good-looking character. So far, all looks. He's been ineffective on a fleet level. His subordinates kind of fucking suck. His plans are as useless as Dessler's.
真田さん大丈夫かい君の方の怪我はもちろんですよねえ真田さんあの炎の中で真田さんを見たとき兄もどこかで生きてるんじゃないかなってふとそんな気がしましたよ生きてるんじゃないかえどこに
On that planet where the ship was found, maybe?
何よりも君の胸の内に
I mean, that's what I was saying when the gun was found away from the ship. Basically, you could do a whole OVA about the final days of... Sorry, I forgot the ship's name.
地球を出て97日中間目標点バランス星まであと7日急げヤマトよイスカンダルへ地球は君の帰りを君の帰りだけを待っているガミラスのため人類の絶滅まであと260日人類絶滅と言われる日まで
And then, oddly, they're gonna re-inhabit the Earth themselves, so it's not like the Earth will be lifeless. It'll just be... not Earth life. I mean, I don't know how to phrase it, but you understand what I'm saying. Pretty good episode. Pretty weird ship. I would say the oddity of doing a whole flashback to what your brother was like in school bit was very weird. But I guess they didn't have enough to like fill in whatever they wanted to do with the ship. 97 days was actually January 20th on 103rd days, 8 days away from Ballin, and stopped by Space Fortress. So as flashback, the Battle of Pluto took place around April or May 2199. Also, Sonata's past was revealed. You don't have to tell me, I was watching the episode. Shima worries about Kodai and Sonata. According to the storyboard, Shima goes down to the bathroom later and the cells were drawn, but the scene was omitted. Okay. Fair enough. We now know the last scene that Yamato's uniform has a zipper on the front center, 260 days left to the destruction of Earth. Some of these notes are just the things that they just told you in the episode. Some useless editor's note stuff. Only made worse by the times that I just disagree with what the editor's notes say. But yeah, no, I mean, Sonata made himself like a very interesting character all of a sudden. Although a very dangerous character to have on the ship. The dude has bombs in his arms and his legs at all times. Strong enough to take out a Gamela's fortress from the inside. Meaning that, I don't know, the dude moves his arms and legs wrong. All of Yamato explodes. Insane. But like I said, it had a very, I don't know, I think I have read a sci-fi novel from like, a Random House. Randall something? I don't know. The book company that's really in deep with like the Scholastic Book Fair and whatnot. Where like a ship from Earth is exploring space or something like that. And like the first planet they find is a planet that is essentially extremely hot due to something I can't remember. That it's constantly raining on the surface and then like turning to steam on the ground. And it's just hard rain constantly. And the entire planet looked like the inside of that fortress. Just constant vinery all over the place. And except in that case, it's like giant bugs eating their way through the vines and whatnot. And this one, it's robots patrolling. It's a very interesting concept, and I wish they had done more with it, but instead we decided to get flashbacks to Kodai's brother in Academy and whatnot. Like, Sonata's backstory about how he apparently accidentally killed his sister and lost his arms and legs. Very important to that plot. Don't have any problem. Don't begrudge that being there at all. The element that gets me is the why did we include Kodai's brother's bit, but not important. It just feels like we could have focused up a little bit. Either way, I enjoyed the episode. Unlike previous episodes, nothing really for me to complain about other than obviously the complaints I had a little bit there, but that's just me. I'm a nitpicker. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to see what more 70s, 80s sci-fi fare we might get in the future. Other than that, though, I think we're done for this episode of Space Battleship Yamato. So, once again, I've been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?